Man, oh man, I cannot wait to do this one. There has been a lot of exciting updates regarding Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, and then other unexpected updates to, Donkey Kong, Fast RMX, well, it's actually called Fast Fusion, but so much detail, so much to talk about today, so y'all already know what I'm about to ask for. Before we jump into this, I gotta ask, we are literally so close to 18,000 subscribers. I have exactly 1 week now till I leave for New York City. Actually, by the time this comes out, it'll be 6 days. 6 days to hit that goal. Can we pull it off, guys? I believe it. We've been uploading every day, and we're going to continue to upload every day while I'm in New York City, vlogging the whole Switch 2 experience of waiting outside for the Nintendo Switch 2 out of the Nintendo store. So, without further ado, let's jump right into the news. The big one. This one was one that we were wondering what was going on with this, and that was Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. The reason why we've been wondering, I don't know if y'all been following the schedule that Nintendo announced when it came to the creator's voice, but we were supposed to get this creator's voice of Hyrule Warriors earlier this month, and then out of nowhere, the schedule got changed up, and then we got Borderlands 4, and then I think Final Fantasy came out a week later or a week early. The whole schedule has been messed up, so it had people wondering what was going on with this, and today we finally got it. And honestly, it was super exciting to see this creator's voice video that came out, because there is a lot of details that was shown off regarding Hyrule Warriors, especially when it comes to how the game is running on the Nintendo Switch 2. Because what they're pulling off here is quite literally impossible if you've looked at how these games have run on previous Nintendo platforms. They have talked about how the frame rate for this game is absolutely amazing, and how the development of the Nintendo Switch 2 has made this be one of the best things they've ever made in terms of a frame rate when it comes to these Warrior games. Which, if you look at the previous Warrior games on Switch, I mean, even Age of Calamity, when you have so many enemies like that, it really struggles to run, and especially really any type of platform with these type of games where it's got like 1,000 enemies in one screen, it's kind of hard to run these games at the right frame rate. And you can see from the footage that they're showing off that this game looks crisp, it looks perfect, the frame rate looks absolutely phenomenal. And honestly, by the wording that they've used into this video, it kind of indicates that there's probably going to be frame rate options regarding this game. So if there's a locked 60 frames per second mode, which judging by the footage that we've seen, there's more than likely going to be a locked 60 frames per second mode, that is going to be absolutely incredible and something that would be looked at as impossible to do on a Nintendo platform. I am very excited to play this game. The footage that they showed off for it honestly looks one of the best Warrior games they've ever made. It looks like there's going to be more type of options of gameplay than your just traditional Warriors type gameplay that they've done. This game looks like it's going to be something truly special, and I cannot wait to play it. They didn't give us any release date information other than the fact that it's releasing later this year into the winter, which is stuff that we already knew was going to happen. I also gotta say that these creator voice videos are always on my mind because I recently just had a dream about the creator's voice, and I heard the music that they play for the intro in my sleep. I'm not even sure what was going on in my dream. I'm pretty sure it looked like in the dream they were doing a creator's voice on how MonadoMax videos were filmed and edited. So that was very interesting and a very unique dream. I don't know if it's a good thing that I have been dreaming that or hearing that music in my sleep, but it's happened. Can't wait to see what the next creator's voice is going to be on, because the last few have kind of been predictable on what games it was going to be, and at this point we kind of don't know what's going to be, especially if this is a series that will be continuing past when the Nintendo Switch 2 is already out. Was this something that Nintendo created just to hype up the Switch 2? I'm not really sure, but this is a very big deal for the Nintendo Switch 2. Alright, this one is a rumor. Supposedly, Samsung won the contract to be producing the LCD screen for the Nintendo Switch 2. And within that rumor, it is saying that Samsung is actually really hoping and pushing for Nintendo to actually do an OLED screen soon, rather than this LCD screen. And after talking to some people, it actually makes sense because OLED screens are easier to make from Samsung's point of view rather than an LCD screen, as they don't have to cut as much, and think it's obviously a cheaper cost for Samsung, but it's just interesting to see that we're already seeing rumors of a Switch 2 Pro / Switch 2 OLED before the Nintendo Switch 2 has even come out, which is absolutely crazy. I do think we're gonna see OLED for Switch 2 at some point, but I think this is something that we'll have a conversation about probably 3 to 4 years from now if I was a betting person, because it's not really a good look on Nintendo to do something like that within, I don't know how long people would want this. I obviously want OLED too, but I feel like seeing HDR and LCD combined like that fast kind of threw me off. But I think that combination is gonna look really nice to where maybe not having OLED will be as noticeable. It's still gonna be something noticeable to me, and hopefully we get OLED in the future. Oh man, I told y'all this was everyone's favorite CEO. Like, I think I even said that last week because of the comments he makes. I'm joking, but this is honestly probably the most controversial gaming CEO out there. There's been quite a few though. I don't know if this is the most controversial. That's probably something in the comments. Who do you guys think is the most controversial gaming CEO? And I want to say current. I don't want to say past, because I know there's some other people out there that you could throw in there. But I want to say like present time. Who would be the worst CEO that's currently still a CEO? But Randy Pitchford has talked about how, I can't believe I'm saying this, but the $80 price tag was asked to him and his thoughts about it. And, well, he had some very interesting things to say. Funny enough, this was actually done on twitter.com. So let me quote what he said. The fan is asking if Borderlands 4 is going to be $80. I quote, A, not my call. B, if you're a real fan, you'll find a way to make it happen. My local game store had Starflight for the Sega Genesis for $80 in 1991 when I was just out of high school working minimum wage at the ice cream parlor in Pasimo Beach, and I found a way to make it happen. And if you look, he's got quite a lot of replies to the tweet. In fact, he has way more replies than he does likes on, or not like, yeah, likes on the tweet. Not a comment that I'm surprised to see him making, considering the stuff that he has said in the past. Yeah, one of those things. I mean, I think he even blamed the fans for Borderlands movie not performing well. He did something stupid about blaming the performance of the Borderlands movie. Absolutely insane. Not a good look. Honestly, really not a good look. But he has said that it's not up to him with the decision of what Borderlands price point is going to be. It's going to be up to Take-Two, which, if I was to guess, they're probably going to charge $70 for the game. If people are lucky, they might do $60, but I think it's more likely to be $70. But we will see. We're obviously going to find that out pretty soon, as September's coming very soon. Just not a very good look, but I guess it goes to show after the comments that I made last week, because I told y'all he says some controversial things, and this is definitely one of them. So this one is a very interesting story because it's kind of out there and kind of surprising that it got out to the public. Somehow Nintendo's marketing plan for the Nintendo Switch 2 got leaked from Italy, got posted online, and immediately got taken down within the hour that it was posted by what everyone likes to call as a internet meme, but it's honestly a real thing, the Nintendo Ninjas, which is honestly a very real thing. We have seen how they have come out of nowhere, taken down these leaks so fast, and we never hear from the people ever again. It honestly very confusing. Yeah, I don't think there was anything very interesting that came out. From my understanding, it was a very long video. I don't think anybody really saw it. I think the one thing that I saw someone talk about is that streaming services are going to have a lot of ads for the Nintendo Switch 2. And that's really all we know from this. It probably wasn't anything crazy, just kind of a funny story. All right, this is something that we talked about that we thought might be a possibility, and the developers have confirmed it. Fast Fusion is going to get more updates for free. In fact, they talked about some of the resolution options and frame rate options that this game is going to have, which has had a lot of people go crazy, which, if I'm honest with y'all, I don't think this is a very big deal. I think it's a little misleading because I've seen people do this for like the PlayStation 5, for example. But let's go over these resolution options. Docked mode is going to have a performance mode of 1080p, 60 frames per second HDR. All right, these will be the docked modes of the game. Performance mode will offer 1080p, 60 frames per second in HDR mode. Balance mode will have 1444p, 60 frames per second HDR. Quality mode will be a mixture of 4K/1080p, 60 frames per second, HDR, menus and HUD overlays in 4K. And then ultra quality mode will be 4K, 30 frames per second, HDR, super sharp visuals, ultra level of detail, ultra quality, and this is the part that everyone's going crazy over, 4K/8K shadow maps. This part has had people wonder, what? The Switch 2 can do 8K? What does this mean? I don't think this is anything to go crazy about. I'm not too well versified into the 8K conversation, but I do know that the words 8K has been overused for something like the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X before. Then those systems actually didn't do that. It was very misleading, and they had to actually take it off of the box. I have a feeling that this 8K thing is probably not a big deal, but everyone is going crazy over it online. Really don't think this is something to go crazy over, but we'll see, I guess. It's just shadow maps though, so I don't know if that's a big deal or not. Maybe the Switch 2 can do like somewhat 8K. It's probably like fake 8K, if I'm honest though, but I don't know. And then obviously handheld mode will be 1080p, 60 frames per second, HDR in performance mode, and then ultra quality mode will be 1080p, 30 frames per second, HDR, ultra level of detail, ultra quality, 4K/8K shadow maps. Overall, this game is going to be absolutely amazing. Put the $15 towards this game. You guys will not regret it. They've talked about one of the free updates being 120 frames per second as an option for this, which I will be very pumped for whenever that comes out. But it sounds like there's going to be extra racing levels and stuff like that that's coming to the game. So definitely pick this one up if you can. This next one is something that people have been finding out through the Nintendo Today app. With the footage that Nintendo is showing, it is actually shown that the Nintendo Switch 2 cannot handle 120 frames per second and 4K at the same time, which I don't think any other console can pull that off. So this doesn't surprise me, especially if there is things that can pull this off. It's going to be very limited amount of games. So I am not surprised by this. I'm honestly more surprised of how often we're seeing things use 120 frames per second on the Nintendo Switch 2, such as Meteoroid Prime 4, Fast Fusion. I think there's been more games that have been confirmed to be pulling this off. I think that in itself is more impressive than trying to run it at 4K at the same time, as it's something already pretty hard to pull off. But a lot of people have been upset about this, which, I mean, understandably, I guess. To me, it wasn't what I was expecting. I'm more surprised at the fact that we're seeing things at 120 frames per second, as that was definitely not on my bingo card for the Nintendo Switch 2. So for our last story, we have something that's actually happening over at the Licensing Expo, which Captain Alex, who is there right now, he makes amazing controllers, check him out, took a picture of the Nintendo booth. And I don't think he realized what he took a photo of, because if he looked at the photo, there's actually some interesting new renders for Donkey Kong shown off, which he later does an updated post showing just that feature of Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong. But it shows brand new renders, and honestly guys, they look absolutely incredible. You know, I think the new renders, the new character models of Donkey Kong is gonna sometimes look really good and sometimes look really bad, depending the pose, depending what type of game, I guess, they're in. Because looking at these renders, this is the best that these characters have ever looked in this new style. And it's good to see Diddy Kong again, because once again, we kind of thought Diddy Kong was done for other reasons, if you're out there paying attention to that type of stuff. And Diddy Kong looks absolutely incredible. I am becoming more of a fan of these new designs of these characters, especially as we see more of them being showed off. Like I said, I do think this is something that sometimes we're gonna like, sometimes we're not gonna like. Like, I feel like something like Mario Party, I feel like this Donkey Kong design isn't gonna work very well, but we'll see what happens. Either way, with this set of renders that we're seeing, in my personal opinion, I think this looks great. Guys, that's everything I have for you. Please let me know in the comments down below what you guys are thinking about the stories that we have. I feel like there's gonna be some interesting debates about the comments that Randy said about $80 price games. That's because he also brought up the fact that the 90s had games that were high priced as well. But there's people debating on why those games were higher, and does that logic work in today's time? So it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's going to be a war zone in the comments, so I look forward to seeing it all. I've been talking for way too much, though. Make sure to backslash that subscribe button, please. We're so close. I'm hoping to hit it this week, by the end of this week. But if we don't, it's okay. I mean, honestly, we were just trying to pull off 16,000 subscribers. So the fact that we've done way more than that is an accomplishment in itself. So we'll just take what we can get. Make sure to check out the Twitter, Discord server, Instagram, all that good stuff that's in the description below. Monado Marine membership, $5 a month, helps out the channel tremendously. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace. I just realized I had a Tears of the Kingdom t-shirt on, and that's actually kind of fitting to what we just talked about today. That was totally not intentional, but we're going to act like it's intentional. So Coleman, don't put this part in, because it makes it look like it was, you know, a mistake that I wore this t-shirt, but it was definitely intentional. All right, time to just end this recording, I guess.